You'll see the red button up in the left-hand corner. When that appears,
Hi guys, my name is Nicole Schatz. I'm one of the admissions counselors here at WVUP. I'd first like to thank you guys for taking time out of your evening to join us and learn more about the programs within the education division. Tonight we're going to get a little more in depth about the education division has to offer and to hear some things from the faculty members, students, and alumni from the education division. Let me share my screen. All right, so before we get started, for everyone tuning in tonight, whether it be Facebook or YouTube, we want to hear your comments. So please comment any questions that you have below in the comments and feel free to fill out the QR code. It gives us more information about the program you're interested in and more information about yourself. And either one of the admissions counselors or somebody from the education division will reach out to answer any questions that you may have. If you want to pull out your phone and scan the barcode here, it'll let us know who you are and what program you're interested in. And we will also be choosing a winner from the comments and from filling out the form below to win some WVUP swag. So before we get started, I'm going to turn it over to the people that are here with me this evening and let them introduce themselves. With me today is an awesome panel for the education division, and to let them introduce themselves, I'd like you guys to tell me your name, your title, a brief overview about the program you're affiliated with, if it's a specific program, and how you ended up here at WVUP. I'll start with Hannah.
Hi guys, my name is Hannah Kitchen. I'm an admissions counselor here at WVUP. As Nicole said, if you have any questions throughout the live, please put them in the comments. I'll be hanging out there to answer any of those. And I ended up here. I started in December and just found my way here.
Perfect. And whoever wants to go next.
It's my privilege to be the chair of the education division. My name is Dr. Lancaster. I have been working at the college 21 years now. It has always been a dream of mine to come back home because I'm actually alumni. It was my dream to come back and actually be in this position one day. And the overview I want to share with you is I'm so proud of the programs we have in this division. With the elementary ed, we're ranked in the top 9 in the nation. We just went through accreditation, the Frank Murray Award, which is absolutely incredible. I never dreamed we'd achieve anything like that. And then on top of that, we're #1 in tuition in West Virginia, Ohio, which is just the best. That's as good as it can get. Then we talk about child development. Child development is #1 in the nation, I think, towards affordability. Mrs. Calvert will address that in just a moment. Then in addition, the associate degree in child development is ranked #1 in the nation. And you notice I'm not saying state, I'm saying nation. And then we turn around, I think, with the bachelor's degree. And like I said, Mrs. Calvert will keep me straight on that. I think we're ranked 9th in the nation now. So having said that, I'd like to pass things on to Mrs. Calvert and let her talk about child development for a moment, introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Krista Calvert. I am the chair, not the chair, I'm the coordinator of the child development program. Here, I'm promoting myself here. Child development, a lot of people don't know what child development really is. And it's those people that work, professionals that work with children from birth until about age 5. Usually you'll find us in places like child care centers. You might see us in public schools in the role of assistant teacher or an aide in the classroom, and in Head Starts. That's where the majority of us are working, although there's lots of other areas too that we can be in. With the child development program here, yes, we are all online. Yes, we're #1 in the nation for online child development programs with our associate degree, and we are #8, up 1 from what Dr. Lancaster said, with the bachelor's program, chosen especially because of our emphasis in the child development field for that. Now, we are all online, which allows a lot of our students to work at the same time that they are students here too. So we do have a lot of students that are already teaching in the child centers, child care centers, and Head Starts. We have a ladder-like program. We have the certificate level, and then when you finish that, you can add on a few classes and get to the associate level, add on a few classes and get to the bachelor's level. With each of those moves that you make, there are more job opportunities for you in the field, but you can start and stop whenever you choose. And that's a little bit then about the Child Development Program.
Thank you. Mrs. Marshall? Mrs. Marshall, our favorite word of the day is unmute. Yeah, I know, I'm with you.
There we go. My clicker wasn't working. I'm Bobby Marshall. I'm one of the faculty with the elementary ed program, but I'm also involved with a new program that we have available now, which is an emphasis, adds an emphasis in special education. So if you choose to go that route, you can get your degree, your bachelor's degree in elementary education. So that would certify you to teach kindergarten through 6th grade. And then with 9 additional credit hours, you can add an emphasis in special education, multi-handicapped, kindergarten through 12th grade. And so you would be certified in the state to do both of those groups of students. So we're really excited that we now have that available. And like I said, it's just an additional 9 hours. It also follows the year-long residency model that we use with our elementary ed program. So typically in the past, you've had 1 year or 1 semester of student teaching. The way that West Virginia is moving now, you actually have a whole year where you get to student teach. You get to see what it's like those first few days of school when you're trying to teach them where to put their backpack and how to walk in the hallway and how to get to the cafeteria and those kind of things. And then you get to stay with them for a whole year. So you get to see the growth that they have at the end of the school year as well. So we're really excited about being able to offer that now.
Development, and I'm extremely excited about that. And it's a one of a kind at this particular program. Now I'd like to really introduce the real stars of the show tonight because we have our students with us. And I'd like to start off with Lakin. And Lakin, not only introduce yourself, but tell them a little bit about field placement, how it started out in your very first class in Education 100, if you would, please.
Hello, my name is Lakin Ankrum. I am a student here at WVUP and I'm an education major. I am in my last semester before student teaching, and I ended up at WVUP because I was looking for a university that was close to home and felt like family, and WVUP provided me with that. And also I was looking for a university that provided that hands-on experience that Dr. Lancaster is talking about. In your first education course, you get that hands-on experience from your observation hours. You get placed in different schools in Wood County and surrounding counties close to you, and you get to develop your teaching skills in the classroom, and they scaffold you to eventually get to where you will be controlling the whole classroom.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Andrew, I'm going to have you jump in for just a moment. Andrew's alumni, and if you just share anything at all, Andrew, we'll get into some more depth here in a moment, but anything you'd like to share at this time.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Andrew Hupp, and I am an alumni, a recent alumni, just graduated in December of the elementary education program. What that did is certify me in K through 6. However, I kind of went out on a limb and took an e-learning position in Kanawha County. And with that, I'm actually the e-learning director over 5th through 8th grade. So I teach 5th and 6th grade, and then I coordinate and kind of keep all the 7th and 8th graders on track with their teachers. And that was an opportunity that came to us actually through an email right as I was graduating. And I thought, that might be the perfect spot for me because that's where I wanted to go. And so they're actually, asking for students from WVP over, state and even Marshall. And I first went to Marshall University for 3 years for music education, and ended up transferring back home just for some family things, and transferred to the elementary education program. And it was actually the best thing that had happened to me, because one, the tuition was a lot cheaper, and I just felt like the education was way better. There was a lot more asked. I think there was a higher level of expectation for us. And that kept me on track better, I think, than what I was doing at Marshall. And that, not to down that program, but I really think highly of the WP program, because it is at the top. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks.
We'll definitely come back to you in just a few moments, okay? But I'd like to go over to child development for just a moment. And Katie, remember I talked about that unmuting thing. I'd like for you to share with us right now, if you would, anything about child development. And don't worry, Mrs. Calvert's looking over your shoulder. No, I'm kidding. She's fine. Go ahead, Katie.
Thank you. So my name is Katie Copeland, and I am a student here at WVUP in the Child Development Program. I'm getting ready to graduate here in just a few months at the end of the semester. I'm really excited about that. And it's just been a great program. And I know we talked about field placement. Lakin mentioned that with her program, and we do the same thing. And it looks a little bit different during the pandemic, but we're still able to get like the hands-on experience with it. And be able to use our creativity in the program. And I ended up here because I have a son, and I wanted to be able to do my education online. I don't live in Parkersburg. I live in Huntington, so it's a way for me to still attend school and still take care of my son at home in a way that Marshall or any other in-person classes wouldn't have been able to accommodate. And it's been a great decision. This has been one of the best experiences academically, if not the very best one that I've ever been given. So.
Well, thank you, Katie. And I'm coming back to you, Lakin, and Andrew in just a moment. As we move into the next part, I want to stay on field placement for a moment, because that is one thing that both programs are so embedded in: field placement, field placement. That's why I learned a long time ago. We need to get out there early on, and we need to follow it all the way through. So I'm going to come to Lakin in just a minute. I'd like for her to share anything at all about any part of her field placement. And then when I go to Andrew, I want to ask about student teaching, what that was like. And then Katie, I'm going to come to you so you can share parts of your field placement. And yes, COVID has definitely changed some things. But having said that, Lakin, if you would share that, please.
Well, I would like to start with saying that the education for the becoming a teacher is so important, but there is nothing better than getting the hands-on experience in the classroom. You can think that you're prepared, but unless you're in the situation and having the opportunity to act in the situation, then you really don't gain the experience that you need. So that field placement is the best thing, and it has prepared me since the first, like we said earlier, you start in Education 100, and you start with just kind of observing the teacher and slowly assisting. And as you go throughout the program, you end up taking over. So now I am in my last semester, and I take over the entire classroom while I am placed there. And it has truly been the best experience, and I feel fully prepared for student teaching.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lakin. Andrew, tell us about student teaching. It hasn't been that long, has it?
You would think not, but wow, student teaching. The teachers actually, the teachers all in the school building told me and another student that was student teaching at the time that if we could make it through this with all the COVID stuff that was happening, because we would walk in on Monday and not know whether we had kids, whether we didn't have kids, whether there was more restrictions, whether we had to make the desks go 8 more feet apart, and whether we had to open up the windows. It was just like every single time we came in, something else was thrown at us. But that really helped us get prepared for the real world for sure. And what was funny is, me and the other student from WP that graduated in December, we were actually a little bit more on top of it than the teachers that had been in the building for a while. And I mean that in that we both did our student teaching in Jackson County, and the technology isn't as advanced in the classroom, or wasn't as advanced in the classroom in Jackson County as what we thought. So we would go through these trainings, and I would end up teaching teachers after the training that didn't understand quite how to use the online systems. And, I would always refer back to, yep, we got this from WUP, we got this technology experience. We had to put technology in every single lesson plan, so that was just something that we did. And now it's second nature to us and for me at least, to use technology. And actually that's kind of what led me to my e-learning position, because that's all technology and teaching, online. But student teaching definitely prepares you for the classroom, because what you do is you watch the teacher for about a week or two, and then you start taking over a subject at a time. So like I first took over reading, and then the next week you might take over math, and then next week, social studies and science, until you're fully teaching the class. The other teacher really just kind of sits in the back and observes you. And, that's the time that they can actually go make copies, because they want to give you that space and not think that you're completely, watched over the entire time. And a lot of the teachers are really good that have student teachers that are doing that. But it's just really, it's a really good experience, because you get what you've studied about, you get those kids, that are first from the very low spectrum to the high gifted spectrum. How are you going to teach those kids without getting everyone, out of whack and off, and, making that gap even larger? How are you going to make that gap smaller? What kind of things are you going to use in the classroom? What kind of technology is it? Okay, wow, that lesson, I planned that lesson, and that was going to be amazing. They were going to use their iPads to take this quiz. Well, 4 of them weren't charged. 2 kids didn't even know how to access it. 3 cameras couldn't scan. What are we going to do now? And, you just flip, and you gotta work in an instant and figure out, and you do. And so you learn about doing that, but until you actually apply it, which you do apply it in your field placement, but you're applying it every day, kind of without as big of an assistance in student teaching. So I really feel like it completely prepared me for the real world. And I use things in student teaching that I haven't even come across using yet in the real world, in my job. So it really did prepare me beyond what I even needed, or what I thought I would need. So.
Thank you, Andrew. Katie, tell us about CDEV.
Yeah, so being in the field and getting that experience is invaluable, especially when being prepared and working towards not only your education, but just every other part of it, being able to communicate with kids and understand how they learn and to meet their needs. And there's just so many things that it accomplishes. And so I have had several experiences out in the field with this program, and they were awesome before it was interrupted, and because of the pandemic. And it was just really wonderful to be able to see different institutions, how they were different and how they were similar, and things that that align with my philosophy and that I personally believe in or prefer, or would add to my future classroom. And it was just a really great way to not only to get that experience, but also to learn more about who I would be as a teacher, because I got to see the differences and to build on my preferences and to learn more about myself as well. So that said, things changed a year ago, and I have been doing my experiences from home, and it has still been absolutely awesome and really effective, because it has kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone and in some ways in a great way. I got to be able to be creative in different ways, and use things that I had at my house and not have an actual classroom. And it has really just been so successful. And hopefully we can get back to the way that it was before soon. But because that's, like I said, that's invaluable. But this program is great at accommodating that. I mean, in the midst of everything that's going on, I'm still able to get the necessary experiences to build on and to become a confident and hopefully successful educator in this field.
Thank you, Katie. I'm going to talk about something that always makes everybody shut their eyes here in just a moment. And Mrs. Marshall, maybe you'll jump in if I leave anything out. I'm going to talk about accreditation. First of all, we have HLC, okay? That's a Higher Learning Commission. What does that mean? When you come to WP, if you transfer somewhere, your credits are going. End of story. They are going to wherever you're transferring to. We are accredited. If you go from here and you would go to Marshall or you would go to another state, that is going to travel with you. That's the big thing about HLC. But something near and dear to our heart in our program is something called CAPE. CAPE is our national accreditation. It's a national accreditation for education prep units. And we are ranked, like I said, in the top 9. What does that mean for you as a student? That means you take your teaching license from West Virginia, and where would you like to go? Now, when you go somewhere, you may have to put an additional test in or something, but the bottom line is you can travel anywhere you want. Mrs. Marshall, is there anything I left out about that part?
No, I think you covered it all. It's just, with the national accreditation, that degree is going to go with you anywhere. And any place that you want to teach, you can take that degree with you and it will be honored at the other states.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to ask my 3 students, the stars of the show, okay? That's what I want to ask them. I would like them to share one thing about their program that they would want to, anyone to know was thinking about coming into education, whether it would be in elementary ed or child development. What is one thing about coming to WUP that you would want to share with them? I'm going to stay in the set order all night. I'm going to go Lakin, Andrew, and then I'm going to go Katie. So Lakin, what do you got?
I can answer this without any doubt. My favorite thing about WVUP is the family aspect. The education division is literally like family. Your classmates, you're going to go through the majority of your classes with. Your teachers, you see all familiar faces, and you always have someone to fall back on. Your classmates, we have group chats, we have group Zoom meetings to help. You always have that family aspect, and you're not going through it alone. You have your peers, and your teachers are so supportive, and they want you to succeed, and you'll never be left behind. And I just love this program. I know that I can go to Dr. Lancaster, who's the president. In most universities, you don't have the opportunity to do that. And I could go right into his office and ask any question. And I just love that I have that family aspect here, and I never feel that I would be left behind.
Let's go with Andrew. What was your thoughts? One thing you'd like to share about the institution?
No, I think that personally, for me, whenever I first got out of high school, I was like, I have to go away from home. I have to go find a big university and explore the world. And then I just landed 3 years later, not with debt, thankfully, because I had scholarships, but I mean, right back home. And what I found out is that, that bigger program, like Lakin was saying, just kind of bouncing off her, there was so many students. The education department was an entire 4-floor building, but you didn't know any of your classmates. You might be able to get in like a text group with them every now and again and help with assignments. Your teachers, they didn't really know you. There was that lack of communication, that lack of kind of the family feeling that I personally like. I'm from a small town of Ravenswood. I graduated with 99. So for me to go big, it was like, whoa. And for me to come back to WP and go, okay, this professor is joking with me, and we're in day 5 and I can joke with her. And, the person over the entire college is like answering every question, every email, and he's walking down the hallway joking with me. It's just such a family atmosphere for sure. That really comes into play and helps a lot and is really beneficial whenever you're completing assignments, and maybe this assignment you're not able to get done in time. So you email the professor, they know you, they know, oh yeah, this person hasn't, turned in late assignments before. Sure, this time's all right. Where if you're in a class of 150 at a big university, they're gonna be like, no, it's you're known on a personal level. And like Lakin was saying too, you stay with the people that you stay with the same people for the most part, unless you're like me. I bounced like I was here and I bounced from like a 100 level course, and then I would walk into a 300 level course, and then I would walk into a 200 level course. I was all over the place. And still, that actually I think was helpful for me because I was able to make friends across multiple years. And there have been people that come back that are going to graduate in May and even next December that have been like, hey, what did you think of this? How did you handle this? And I've been able to talk to them, and we feel comfortable talking to each other because we'd all go have lunch together or something. But I know we have a group chat from everyone that graduated in December. And just the other day, there was, hey, there's a tutoring job in Wood County. They'll do this. It pays $25 an hour if anyone is interested. Week before that, hey, I can't work today. Is anyone able to sub for me? Yep, I am. Okay, great. Awesome. I'll tell the principal and you're in. And that's just two examples. We've had multiple messages like that. Or, hey, do you guys even know what to fill out on this application? Nope. All right, let's do it together. And it carries on past graduation. And I would say that it'll carry on for years to come. I know I would feel comfortable asking anybody that I graduated with and anybody that is any of the professors in a year, 2 years, 3 years. I know I could email them and be like, hey, they might give me a hard time because that happened to me. We just joke back and forth. That was our relationship, but that's good. And but I would get an answer, and I would probably get, if I said, hey, can I have a recommendation for a job? Well, if I was at a big institution where there was a ton of people, they'd probably be like, who were you? When did you graduate? What's your first name? It's just here they'd be like, yep, I'll send it to you in an email in an hour and done. And it'll be probably the best recommendation you'll ever get. So yeah, definitely that family aspect, I would say. That and the money. That's a big thing. Whenever you're starting a family, or if you already have a family, I went to college with a lot of people that already had 2 and 3 children, but they were able to afford the classes because it's not and it's the same education, a better education personally for me, than some of the bigger institutions that are charging you a ton of money. So yeah, that was like 4 or 5 things, but you can kind of bring it all into one, the same as Lakin, and that it's just a small town family atmosphere that it's great. It's amazing.
Thank you, Andrew. Katie, I'm coming to you in just a second, but when that commercial goes out that I'm not smiling, that you guys see, and I say something like, this is home. This is home to me, and I want to be with my students. And then on top of that, not only do I have my students to be with as the chair of the division, but then I got Dr. Gilmer supporting us, and he goes out of his way to support us. If he knows the student teachers in the building, he wants to come into class and see them. And it goes back to, I believe, it goes back to his sister being a teacher. But he so supports us, and it makes it easy for me to support my students, and something I just absolutely love. So having said that, Katie, I'm going to turn you loose. One thing you'd like to share about the college?
Okay, well, I actually have 2 things, and they both have to do with what Lakin and Andrew were talking about as well, because I wholeheartedly agree. The family atmosphere, even though my program is totally online, I still get that feeling from from instructors and peers and classmates and the counselors and just anybody that you contact. It's all in a timely manner, and it's also friendly, and it's understanding. And I know that, with all these winter storms, I didn't have power for almost 2 weeks. And I emailed all my professors and let them know, like, I don't know what I can do. I'm snowed in, I can't leave. And all of them told me, don't worry about it. This is, we need to figure out, make sure that you're okay first and stuff. And it's just that kind of understanding and that down to earth, type of communication, and just on a humanity level, if that makes sense. And it's not lost on me, and it doesn't sound like it's lost on any other student either, because it really does mean everything. That, and then also the education. I mean, even though this is an online program for me, it feels every much as an educational experience, if not more, because you do get that intimate, close one-on-one interaction with the teachers and with your classmates and stuff. And the education is just, I feel so prepared compared to, I started out at Marshall years and years, 10 years ago, actually. I started out at Marshall in these huge classrooms, and there's nothing like having that close relationship and being able to talk to other people who understand you. And then also, I feel like that paves the way for your education, because then you're able to focus on it. You're able to make friends and feel comfortable. And I'm just really thankful for both of those things. They go hand in hand. I think that's what makes this institution so great.
Thank you so much. I'm going to jump into something else, and if I go in the wrong direction, Nicole will pull me back real quick. But I'm looking at slides here, and we have a few things, structures here to help support us at the college. And I'm going to throw them out real quick, and a couple people, I'll throw their names out, and anyone else can jump in at any time. But like student activities, Hannah, could you share something with that, or anyone else in that area?
Sure thing. WVU Parkersburg, I've only been here a couple months, and I've already been impressed with the number and the quality of student activities and the work that our student engagement office has been doing, even in these sort of weird times with COVID. In addition to our 20 plus clubs, we have that student engagement office that is always hosting some sort of event in a variety of areas. During lunchtime, I know they've had Riverhawk life skills, where they teach everything from cooking to investing, which is something I definitely didn't learn in high school. They've had events in the pre-COVID days like big summer bashes. In the last couple months, they've done, I think, a hot wing panel, macrame nights, movie nights. I think there's a pottery night coming up. This week, a couple of days this week, there is something going on for Women's History Month. Recently, WVUP Idol, you might have caught on the Facebook live stream. So clearly there's a variety covered. So there is something for everyone, regardless of what area you're interested in. So definitely check that out.
Thank you. And we have all kinds of support here. Food pantry, Mrs. Calvert, anything you'd like to mention about that?
Yeah, when we talk about supporting students, we understand it's just not academic support that they need. There's other things, such as something as simple as food, especially during the pandemic. We've had this food pantry here for a long time, and all you need to do is say, "Hey, I need something," and you can come in and get what you need. And that's just, this sounds like something simple, but it's something that some students really need, and so we're here for them. And there's that's just one of the many supports that are here.
Another area I always enjoy, Mrs. Coward, is the PAC. Nicole, would you like to share anything on that?
Yeah, so the PAC is the Professional Advising Center, where all incoming students with less than 30 credit hours meet with their assigned advisor to help register for classes and to plan their academic schedule based on the major they're in. And they also help work around the schedules that you previously have as far as jobs, that type of thing. After the first 30 credit hours, the students are then transferred to their advisor within their area of study to further enhance their advising experience and to provide advising support and up-to-date information about the student's specific program that they're in. I'll pass it on to Lakin for Tutoring and Testing Center.
So I could go on for days about the testing center. I am actually a tutor in the Tutoring and Testing Center, and I am also a phone operator. So with that aspect, obviously it provides you a job opportunity that works around your schedule and a very friendly environment. But on the student aspect, the testing center is phenomenal for an education major. They have tutors in every subject, and those tutors have to have an A in the course to be able to tutor it. And something that is so big for education is those praxis exams. You have to pass your exams to be able to continue through the program and to continue on to student teaching. And there are students that can tutor you through each subject and go out of their way to ensure that you're passing those tests. And that is so important. But they also have tutors major, and I mean, like I said, you can send them your availability and they will do their best to make sure that you can get tutored and that you're getting that good grade in that class. So I cannot stress enough the utilization of the testing center. I know as an incoming student, I was so nervous to ask for help. And I finally reached out and I started asking for help. And then I ended up working in there and I love it. And I know that each student that is a tutor there truly cares about who they are tutoring and wants them to succeed.
Thank you, Lakin. Career service is something else that I have always found to be very helpful. They've helped us with job fairs in the past where I'd actually take my ed majors out to different areas and go through that. But one thing that we have right now, I don't know how to say this, but I receive cards on my desk from superintendents all the time. And we don't have any ed majors not in jobs right now because there's a teacher shortage. So it is absolutely, it's a great place to be. Career Services does a great job, but we're in a time right now where there's a shortage of teachers. And in the child development area, Mrs. Calvert, I mean, what could you say about that area?
Our students often have jobs. If they want them, they have them before they even come here.
Mhm.
So it's not, they just need to they want to do the best they can for their students. So they are coming to learn more and help so that they can help the students and work with them. That being said, I get calls too all the time about people, childcare centers, Head Starts that are looking for people, early childhood professionals that they need to work with the young children. So yeah, it's an essential position. I think people found that out with the pandemic, how essential and important it is. What I like, besides us having this, what I like about the Career Center is it also will help you do resumes and things like that. If you don't know what you want to do, let's say that we think the education division is the best, but let's say you're just still looking and exploring. They have the tools to help you explore what profession might be the best for you. Then of course you have the preparation, which we all help with here, but then they do have lists of jobs that are available to help you get the money. You want money after you've been a student. You want a job that you're going to get paid for, and they will help you find the jobs that are out there for you.
Thank you very much. Hannah, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot here, but I'm looking at my notes, student support services. Is there anything you'd like to share about that before we move to Veteran Resource Center with Mrs. Marshall?
Sure. We have a number of student support services on campus. One of those is mental health services. We do have a counselor on campus who is available on campus, as well as he is reachable by phone pretty much always. He can help with crisis intervention or scheduling counseling sessions. He also can assist students with finding additional resources and further treatment if they feel that's needed. Student support services also covers disability services. So for any students that might need some sort of accommodation to help them be successful, that office will help them navigate that process. Student support services can also assist with things like applying for food stamps, low income affordable housing, childcare cost support. And we also have a wellness center. It is closed right now, but it includes a gym, workout equipment, weights, as well as a locker room and showers so that you can pop in and out between class and not be sweaty.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Marshall, anything on the Veterans Resource Center you'd like to share?
West Virginia is very patriotic, and we do have a high percentage of individuals in this state that are veterans or are currently serving in National Guard or some type of the armed services. And we do have a Veterans Resource Center that's on staff, it's on campus, and they're there as kind of a social network for other veterans. We're also a Purple Heart school, which is one of the very few ones that are in the nation, but we do have that recognition as well. But they're there to help you with accessing veteran services like the GI Bill or anything like that that you might need to help you be successful in the school.
Thank you very much. Our Alumni Association, I want to mention, they're always reaching out and always trying to involve our alumni. But I'd like to talk to Andrew for just a moment. And my question to Andrew is, how does it feel to be an alumni?
How does it feel to be an alumni? It felt weird at first, but oh my goodness, it felt so relieving as well. Because as soon as I got out of student teaching, I got a job, and like I'm going through a couple weeks of my job, and I'm like, wow, I'm actually getting that first paycheck comes in. I'm like, wow, I'm actually getting paid for this. Oh yeah, that's right. I did graduate. Okay, I do get paid to do this every day now. And it's just a crazy feeling. I remember that some of the other students that I graduated with, they were like, it was like into January or almost into middle of February, and they're like, does anybody else think it's weird that we don't have to write lesson plans like the WP ones? Because I kind of freak out like on a Friday evening because my lesson plans aren't in by 11:59, and so it's definitely a weird transition. I think it's a little bit of a weird transition when you go from graduating in December to teaching, right in the second, because you're halfway through a school year in the second semester. But I thought it would be harder to find a job. I definitely did than what it actually was. It turns out that as soon as I got out, I was offered a long-term sub position, and I applied for the job that I'm in at the same time that I applied for that. And I got the long-term sub position, and it was in Jackson County. And after I started, about a half week in, I went and interviewed for this other job because I did it at the same time. And it turned out that, I would have a lot more free time, which I had a son that was just born a month ago. So knowing that my son was going to be born, having that free time, a little bit more free time, a little bit more flexibility, and a higher pay, I was able to go with the higher pay. But it's so competitive right now in that pretty much any subject that you want to teach, if you graduated in December or even in May, you could at least sub right away. And even if you don't find a sub job in the place that you really wanted to teach, like say you wanted third grade, there's not a long-term sub in it. If you put yourself out there in Wood County and even Jackson County or Wood County and any of the surrounding counties, if you're in Wood County, you will get called every day. I got called, I put my application into Kanawha County, and within the first 24 hours, I had 19 phone calls. And a principal actually called me personally, and the drive was just going to be too long to do that. But they are like hurting for long-term substitutes and just positions. And I actually found this, they call it a tire position. So it ends at the end of the year, but I get paid right away as a full-time employee and get benefits offered, and I get seniority in that county. So it's a little bit different than a long-term sub, but I just went looking, and I really didn't have to put myself out there or sell myself at all. And I don't think anybody else did to get their jobs, because they are hurting right now. And there's so many teachers, especially like older teachers, that just can't really work with the technology. And so they're retiring, or they're taking long breaks. And so all these jobs are opening up, and I'm sure that will continue into the next year and even beyond that. But yeah, it was a little weird at first being an alumni, and kind of felt like, oh my goodness, am I actually done? But then now it's kind of settled in, and I got the first couple paychecks, and I'm like, wow, okay, here we go. Now it's real life. I can't like call one of my professors and be like, hey, how did we do that? But I actually can. Like I said before, you can, talk to him. And what's funny is I actually called one of my professors, and I was like, hey, remember what we did in science strategies? Could you send me that link? And he did. And I got it, and I use it in my classroom. And so, yeah, it's like I said, it just extends on out. And it feels great to be part of the community at WVUP, of the Alumni Association, and be able to do things like this and come back and talk. And it's always great coming back and seeing professors, talking to professors, and showing them kind of where we are now. But yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind. I had a baby, just about a month into graduating, and we're building a house. And so new job, it's like a whirlwind, but it's fun.
Thank you, Andrew. I'd like to come back to our students again with a question real quick. And the question is, I want you to turn back the clock. I want you to think, what was the final point or the final straw? Why did you decide to come to WVUP? You have sold me on why you want to stay here or why you want to be alumni, but why did you finally choose WVUP? And I'll go in my same orders I went in before, and that is Lakin, if you would go first.
You're always the king of putting me on the spot. I would say that the biggest selling point was I toured lots of colleges, and when I came to tour WVUP, for one, I had Dr. Lancaster touring me, which you don't really get the opportunity to have a president of the division touring you, and that was something that I was like, okay, like I know that I'm not just a number here, and the resources we have the PEC. And just knowing I had friends that were alumni from WVUP, and just knowing all of the experience that I would get and that I was close to home when I graduated, I knew that WVUP had that great reputation. And when I was done, I would have the opportunity to get a job. It was just really the whole aspect of the education. And like I said before, the family. So.
Thank you very much, Lakin. All right, Andrew, what was the final thing that said, hey, I'm going WVUP? And I know you were at Marshall.
Yeah, well, my wife was there, so that was cool. So I actually kind of learned more about the program, from a student standpoint from her. But at the time, just my fiance. So that's, coming back home actually has done a lot of things for me. I found my wife, and we've had a baby, and it wasn't just college for me. It was kind of the whole aspect. But I also will kind of go off of Lakin and say, as soon as I came in, Dr. Lancaster was probably the first person that I talked to, other than the secretary, who was asked how my day was and gave me a piece of candy and made me feel good. But then that went right into Dr. Lancaster, and he showed me every part of the division. And I mean, you really kind of told me, what you offered, and it wasn't about necessarily what you were offering. It was about the fact that you were taking the time to talk, if that makes sense, taking the time to, make that connection already. And then all the other professors, as soon as we started classes, as soon as I started classes, all the professors that were in that education division, I could tell they were different than, because I had, the general ed classes as well that were outside the education department, like, in the sciences and, just the other divisions. And I could just tell there was a difference in the education department, the elementary education department. They, not anything against the other divisions. I'm just saying it just was a different atmosphere and a sense of belonging. And that's when I knew, like, all right, I'm staying. I'm no turning back. I'm definitely, this is it. I'm doing the whole thing. And quickly, one other thing is I came in and I had random classes from Marshall come in and random classes that didn't come in. And so like that first day, that first week, Dr. Lancaster sat down with me and pretty much kind of made the program, personalized the program for what I needed. And again, that's part of that just personal aspect of it. But, he was like, okay, you don't need this class, you need this class. I think we can move this class to this semester, even though you're really supposed to take it that semester. Let me check on that. Well, yep, yeah, you can do it. Okay. And, we set kind of my whole mapped out my classes like quickly. And I touched on that before, where I was in multiple, like I was in a 100 level course and a 300 level course, but just the, Dr. Lancaster took that time to do that. And the fact that, you can't just get kind of a personalized program in any college that you go to work with you and, not be big bucks. So that was probably it for me. It was you, Dr. Lancaster. You did it.
Thank you. Well, let me talk to somebody that I didn't do anything with, and that would be Katie with CDEV, and that would fall to Mrs. Calvert. So I'm going to find out what finally brought you to WVUP. Was it some type of advertising? What was it?
It was definitely the online program for me. Because to be 100% honest, I had every intention to go to Marshall after I graduated from Mount West, Mount West. Wow. MCTC. I'm blanking on the entire school that I graduated from. Anyways, MCTC. After I graduated from there, when I was in my last year there, I found out I was going to have my son. And I thought, I don't know if I can do in-person classes at Marshall University and have a son and work full time and do all of these things. But I knew that I wanted a bachelor's degree. I had to myself, I've been in school for 10 years, and I've been trying to nail down my education and figure out what I want to do. And I finally feel like I'm in the field, and I didn't want to have to give up continuing my education because I was having a son, but I wanted to be able to do both because I care so deeply about both, of course. So it was 100% the online program that definitely caught my eye. And it has been, like I said before, the best decision. I mean, it's so convenient. And I know a lot of people think and they get intimidated when it comes to doing school online. Like they think that maybe they can't, make themselves do the classes or be strict on themselves to get the homework done and everything. But it has been, you get in your groove and you do it, at least for me. And it has just been a lot easier than I expected. And just so accommodating, especially when it comes to having something else in your life, like a child or, or another form of responsibility. I mean, it could just be that accommodating for anybody. And that's definitely been the number one thing. And then, like I said, I no offense to Marshall, but I'm so glad that I went to WVP. I love Marshall too, and that's great. But this program has just been awesome for just for all aspects of it. Has been really helpful for me. So
Thank you, Katie. Really appreciate your kind comments. I'm going to now throw it over to Hannah and Nicole for a moment because we're getting into areas that I may be an expert in education and I may know how to run a division, but now we're going to get into areas where I would fall on my face without them, and I don't mind telling you that. So I think Hannah, you're going to look into different things like the FAFSA and things like that, and I'll just mute for a little bit and be good.
All right, Hannah. So would you like to tell us what type of financial assistance are available for students interested in the education programs?
Sure. So some of these are specific to students in the ed program, and some of these are for students in any program. A word you might have just heard thrown around was FAFSA. And that is one of the big ones. You might have heard about that from a high school guidance counselor or heard your parents talking about that. That stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. So you'd fill that out each year before attending college. And that is the application for federal grants, work study, loans, and the college uses that to determine your financial aid, your federal financial aid eligibility. Most of our students qualify for some amount of aid from the FAFSA. So it's really important that even if you think that you won't get anything, it's really important to go ahead and fill that out regardless. Another financial assistance available is West Virginia Invests. So this is just for West Virginia students, and it is restricted to specific programs. So for example, childhood development would qualify. It's sort of similar to the Promise, but you don't need an ACT or an SAT score, and it covers up to an associate's. So if you've been a West Virginia resident for 1 year prior, you would be eligible potentially, and you do have to stay in West Virginia, or rather live in West Virginia for 2 years after completing your program. So that's something to be aware of. And as you can see on the screen, there are a number of other requirements, nothing too crazy. Things like 2 hours of community service each semester, and a lot of our programs build that in anyway. So it's something to definitely keep in mind. It's a last dollar in program, which means that anything that's not covered by FAFSA, it would then step in and potentially cover some of that. Lastly, but very important, is the WVUP Foundation Scholarship application. So the super cool thing about that is that it's one application, one quick, easy application, but it gives access to about 70 or 80 scholarships, I believe. And so those are scholarships that are eligible for students in a variety of areas. Some are broken down by, are you a woman who lives in this county, or did your parents work here? And so there are a lot of opportunities there. All of the money set aside by the WVUP Foundation for WVUP students scholarships, that all is going in there. And so it's a good idea that even if you're just considering WVU Parkersburg, to go ahead and apply and fill out that scholarship application. The deadline is April 13th. So I highly recommend going ahead and getting that taken care of. So Nicole, speaking of applications, how would someone become a student?
Alrighty, so first and foremost, we love for all of our students to come out to the campus for a tour and to get a good feel for the environment of the college and just to make sure that it's going to be a good fit for you. Secondly, you'll need to apply to WVUP using the online application. So if you go to the home page on the right-hand side, there's a yellow square that says apply now. It's super easy to fill out, but if you do get to the application and get stuck, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be more than glad to help you. You'll need to fill out your FAFSA, like Hannah mentioned, using our school code, so that way that we can process your FAFSA application and see what you qualify for. Once you fill out your FAFSA, you can then apply for West Virginia Invest by using the online application at wvinvest.org. Next, you want to send in your high school transcript. If you've been out of high school for 5 or more years, you will not need to send it in. But if you've just graduated, you'll need to send the final transcript in. If you have taken ACT, SAT scores, you can go ahead and send those in too, but it's not required for admissions. It'll just help you get out of some of those English and math labs. Look for scholarships, look for local scholarships in your community. If you're still in high school, ask your guidance counselor for scholarships as well. They might know of some that you can apply for. And again, don't forget to apply for our scholarships that we have on the website using one application. Lastly, keep up to date with us by checking your emails, checking your mail, or text and calls. We like to let you know about anything that's going on at WVUP and if we need anything else for your admissions process. The best way to get a hold of us is by emailing admissions@wvup.edu, and the girls up front are really good about giving us the information that we need in order to contact you about specific programs or any questions you may have. All right, well, I took it too far. So I just want to remind you guys, if you have any specific questions about the education program, feel free to fill out the QR code form for a chance to win free WVP swag. And then if you have any specific questions or you'd like to come in for a tour, that'll also give us your information in order to contact you to schedule that. And I am going to turn it over to Hannah to see if we have any questions from the comments that we need to get answered.
Sure thing. So it looks like there's a question about what can I do if I need help filling out my FAFSA?
Yeah, that's a good question. So here on campus, there's always a designated person in the Center for Student Services to help you fill out your FAFSA. That'll actually sit down with you and help you figure out what you need to put where. Sometimes it can get stressful, but they're always here to help in any way that they can.
Also, are there any resources to help students when it comes to like supplies for student teaching?
I'd be glad to take that. You probably heard mentioned earlier, there's a place called the PEC. It's a Partner Education Center. And what occurs in that, it's a place, it's almost like a educators club. It's where the students go in and they have laminator, they have iPads, they have laptops, they have absolutely everything. They have paper, they have cutouts. So the answer is yes, we have a whole room just set up to help those individuals during student teaching and all field placements.
Thank you. It looks like that's all we had.
All right, perfect. So for everybody that tuned in tonight, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to learn more about the education division and listening to our awesome faculty, staff, and students share their experience here at WVUP. Each Tuesday at 5:30 in March, we'll be featuring all of our divisions here at WVUP, and the next Tuesday, join us to learn more about the Humanities, Fine Arts, and Social Science division. I hope you guys will join us for the rest of our division showcase series, and if you would like more individualized tours, feel free to reach out to us at admissions@wvup.edu. I hope you guys have a good night.
Thank you.